Hello, everybody. Welcome to the second episode of Spiritual Spiral. Thank you so much for joining us. This is going to be a show where we dive into the spiritual aspect of what is going on in our world today, and we interview spiritual experts, mediums, psychics, healers, people that are really, really good in this field to dive deeper into what's going on with us spiritually, mentally, how this is all going to affect us. I'm so excited about this week's episode. I'm your host, Sam Davidson, and I have my amazing co-host, Sari Cohen. Thank you so much.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back for week 2.
Yes, and our fantastic guest is April Ray. April is a medium, psychic, tarot card reader. She's an expert in this field. I'm so happy you're here, April.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here. I'm so excited. So,
Awesome.
Yeah, whatever questions you have for me, I'm so open and receptive to anything that you want to pitch towards me. So I'm all prepared.
Well,
all ready to go.
Let's start off with who you are, April, and how you got into all of this and what it is exactly.
Sure. So I've always been very connected to the spirit world. I remember even as a young child that I could see and hear spirits, and it wasn't at the time. I'm in my 40s now. So at the time, during that era in the 80s, it wasn't quite as accepted as it is now. We're kind of like the age of Aquarius right now, so everybody's interested in their charts and astrology. But right now, or at the time, I couldn't really open up until one day I opened up to my mother. My mother had an ex-husband, because I have 2 older brothers. They're my half-brothers. And her ex-husband passed away very tragically. And my mother would never talk about it because, of course, my mom remarried and everything was just kind of hush-hush, And I think it was about 8 or 9 years old. I just pulled my mother aside in the driveway and I just said, "Mom, there's this man that's standing next to you and he's dressed this way and he's dressed that way. And he's wearing these boots and he's talking about you and how you were together." And my mom just looked at me because I never knew what he looked like. I never knew anything. And my mom started to become more accepting of it because I would tell her things like, if she'd get in the car, I'd say, "Mom, be careful, you could get a ticket today." And she'd get a ticket. So it kind of started that way. But in terms of just growth factors, let's say for spirituality, growth factors are super important because it's kind of like exercising in a gym and you're kind of getting yourself all toned and ready to go. So I can't say I just woke up one day and I was complete, like a complete package. I had to understand and accept that I was different. And then as soon as I went through the acceptance part, that's when I picked up my first set of cards. So I remember I was at a fair and I was with my mom, and my mom, I don't know how old I was. I just know that I was probably between the ages of maybe 11 to 12, I would say. And there was a bunch of, like a gypsy strip of booths there, with all these hippies and gypsies, and they all had their cards out and they all had all their stuff. And I was kind of like, and I was really drawn to it. And I went to this one booth where this lady was dressed up, and I pointed at the cards and said, "I can read those cards." And she looked at me like, "Oh." She goes, "Really?" I go, I just knew I could read the cards. So it turned out that my mom ended up getting me a deck, and then of course I had another deck that are very old. It's it's a deck from Germany, because we have relatives from Germany, and my mother's grandmother, so that would be my great grandmother. She was a psychic for the town, and there was a lot of problems when Hitler was in power, and there was a lot of accusations that she was Jewish because her last name was Frank, and so they couldn't prove it, and there was a lot of problems. But she read cards, and so to kind of keep things quiet and keep them away from her, because they went through her diary and everything, she says, "Look, I can read cards, I'm a psychic," and that kind of cooled things down. Because if you're aware, I'm sure you're aware, I think the SS really liked the occults, things like that. So I mean, I think it's just in my bloodline. I'm self-taught. I would buy books and I would hide in my closet and I would read about tarot, and I just started being more open and receptive. I was meditating at a very young age. I could see auras, and I just thought, well, I think I need to do something with this. So as in my teens, I just started working events. People would ask me to come along, and I'd work events and bring my little cards. And that allowed me to get personal skills, you know what I mean? Talking and engaging with clients and stuff. And I think that kind of shape shifted me to this moment now. So, and of course, referrals. I mean, every time I do a reading, then someone would tell somebody, and then it just grew from there. And it's a beautiful thing, I mean, God puts you where you're needed. I believe that big time. So I don't think you come into situations or settings just by pure coincidence. I feel like it's all divinely kind of like orchestrated for your highest good. So, and I always would ask God, I would always pray and just say, hey, where am I needed? How can I serve? How may I serve? And doors would just keep flying open in this department. So it's like, why fight it? You know what I mean?
I'm a big believer in that. Why fight it? If the universe wants you to go one way, you obviously shouldn't fight that.
I mean, it's a very, I always joke, and I bring this up a lot to my clients, and I get them laughing and cracking up. It's like, I don't know if you remember the movie Forrest Gump. I mean, I'm sure everybody's seen it, but there was just this, like, I think it was the scene where he goes, I just felt like running, and I never thought it would take me anywhere. And next thing you know, he's like winning awards and being known for all his running. And, you just never really know where you're heading. I think we have this polished mindset of what we're supposed to be or what we think we should be. But, you are who you are. And you just got to do what you got to do. And here I am.
Yep.
So, it's funny because the reason I know about April and I met her to begin with was from this Facebook group of like young women that are interested in spirituality and all this stuff. And so it's all really cool. Obviously our world is crazy right now. Sari, I know that you specifically had some questions about this past week and how things
So I've been really paying close attention to the energy and kind of what was happening, how I was feeling and connecting with things even a year prior to this. And I feel like since this has happened, just in this past month, I've seen like shifts week to week. And I feel like there was a big thing that happened this week. And I'm not quite sure what it was, but I've definitely felt a shift where I'm feeling a lot of sadness where I wasn't before. What is happening now? What happened this week that's really affecting people?
I think it's all collective energy. I think that it's kind of like when I do the Oracle card tasters on my Instagram, where it's kind of like pick a card. It's like I kind of create a collective energy and kind of scoop up what I can pick up for that week. And it's interesting you're referencing a week. It's like something shifted, right? Yeah. So like I said, I call it the collective, and I think what it is you're feeling everyone else's feelings, that uncertainty or that cliffhanging kind of aspect vibration. Like I'm cliffhanging and I don't know how long I'm going to be hanging on here and what's to come next. And there's a lot of people that are cooped up in their houses. They don't know what's happening with their jobs. There's this sadness because the uncertainty leads to fear, and fear takes you further down the rabbit hole. What's next? Because, although we're being fed all this stuff in the media, it's always the same repetitive stuff. It's not like, no one's really given us kind of like the light at the end of the tunnel. It's kind of like heavy energy that's coming through. So I think you're just empathically kind of picking up on it. And I think people are starting to realize how serious this is. I think when it first started, everyone's like, they'll just keep us out of the store, out of work for like a month or two maybe, but hopefully it won't happen. But now it's more like people are like, wow, we're really been stuck in the house for how many days? And this weight comes over you. So I feel like you're just picking up on we're all connected. Everyone's connected, so I think you're just kind of feeling that heaviness, because it is heavy. I walk outside my front door and the looks on people's faces, it says it all. I don't even need to say hello. You can just see in their eyes like, oh, like, gosh,
Yep.
let me brace myself for something, some kind of impact, because you just really don't know what's to come. I can say though, I've done a tremendous amount of readings connecting with my team of spirits. I call them my co-workers. And they have told me that that tensions, I don't see really much tension really breaking away with the kind of the headlock that the government has us in, so to speak, until probably Taurus season leading to Gemini season. And then I still feel like we're not out of the woods yet until probably where we see more of the light at the end of the tunnel, Leo season. And unfortunately, I wish I could say something different, but that's the feeling I have, and that's what Spirit keeps telling me. And Spirit keeps talking about the government over and over again. But because really we're at the mercy of them at this point.
Mm-hmm. And so when this all started, a little over a month ago, I don't, it's hard to remember the time. It's about 5 weeks ago, I guess, we were put in quarantine-ish. What were your feelings up to that? Like, did you feel something was going to happen and you didn't know what? And in what ways did you feel like you were prepared or not prepared for this?
I think, a lot of people in the spiritual community have really compared notes. Like, we're like, did you feel this? Did you see this? Many people knew something was going to come. We knew that there was going to be some kind of virus or a bug, but not a lot of people in the spiritual community, meaning psychics, you name it. I know astrologers have made a couple of good points about Pluto and everything and the alignment and kind of the nasty stuff that we saw in the past in terms of wars with that same kind of energy that's kind of happening now. But I'll go back to what people said in the spiritual community is like, we've all kind of knew something was coming, but we never really fully felt that it would be in this measure of the capacity of what's going on. It's like, no way, So a lot of us are a bit taken back, to be honest, but we knew something was sort of coming, but the measure of, again, we really couldn't discern the heaviness of it as what we've seen now. I know some people have said some stuff, but the measure of it, like the capacity that it's at, it's like a lot of psychics were like, we knew something was coming. So in terms of how to answer the question fully, I had a sense in January that there was something going on because I started seeing patterns in my readings. I mean, I knock out about maybe 6-7 readings a day. And that's a pretty heavy day for me. And I started seeing things in Pisces season. I kept seeing the tower, like a pattern with people's work stuff. And I'm like, what is all this? And then, it didn't click until maybe like about a week into it. I thought, I think there's something going on here, because then government cards started showing up. Government. I said, okay, there's something up here. And I made a few phone calls and I asked some people, hey, have you been noticing any patterns in your readings? And this is other people in the spiritual community. And they're like, yeah, it just feels like there's something odd. And we were talking about the planets and alignment and everything. And I said, I think something's coming, but I'm not sure. It feels like I'm just waiting for a sword to drop, and it's like, where is it coming from? So, but the full details of it, the capacity and the measure of the blow that we're feeling now, not a whole heck of a lot of people really kind of knew that it would come down to that. You guys are looking at me like, I'm being absolutely honest with you. It's like, we knew that there was going to be a bug or something, but we just didn't know it would come down to this.
Yeah, I mean, I know that I think I was probably one of your readings. You came and saw me and my mom at the beginning of the year, and I had another tarot reading from a girl where she recorded it and sent it to me too at the beginning of the year, and it was all very similar around this time that there was going to be problems. And I kept on thinking, like, what did I do? Like, what about me? Like, I kind of took it, as this something bad was going to happen to me. I didn't realize that it would be everybody.
A lot of people. Yeah. I don't think a lot of people, even me as a reader, I mean, I couldn't quite discern or pinpoint it. I just knew that there was something coming. And again, you're reading and a lot of other people within I would say a couple of weeks, I was like, there's something like, you know, it just felt like it was one thing after another, like the Tower card, for instance, you know, for those of you that are familiar with tarot, the Tower card, the Devil card, Seven of Swords, government cards, like the Emperor or the Justice card has a correlation to government. And I thought, yeah, this is kind of, and so I was assuming that people were going to either lose their job, or like it felt more like a sudden shift or change. And, but the longevity of, you know, of their work looked fabulous. So it's like, how do you know, so it was tough. It was kind of like a realization in those moments, and it snuck up on me really quick when all this stuff was going on. I feel like the virus is very real, but I do feel like there are some things, you know, this, you don't have to agree, you know, I feel like there are some things that are very manipulated at this time. That's just kind of where I'm coming from a psychic feeling and from a intuitive feeling, because of the dreams that I've been having, and waking up with night sweats and kind of hearing people talking and government stuff. And I'm like, yeah, something just feels not quite right. I'm not going to get all political or anything, but I'm just saying, I'm, you know, like I said, nobody has to agree with my perspective, but it's just kind of the feeling I have is something feels a little manipulated, because that Seven of Swords energy was a constant when I was reading about the coronavirus, because people were asking me on Instagram, they're curious, they're scared, they're curious, and it's all warranted. And I was like, all right, well, let me check it out. And every single time I'd read, the pattern never changed. Seven of Swords. So Seven of Swords, for those of you that are listening and don't know what Seven of Swords are, it means lies and deception. So it means to me, there's more going on than meets the eye than what we're hearing on the news. But what is it? So, you know, and my spirits make me feel like there's something a little wobbly in there that I think we need to ask more questions. And this is raising a lot of eyebrows and bringing a lot of awareness into us, you know, on a you know, an overall scale, because it's like, really, you know. And if you notice, numbers are changing. Have you noticed the figures and the death tolls are kind of moving around and changing? There's something very suspicious about that. Mm-hmm. But like I said, I'm trying to stay very neutral here, so I don't you know, ruffle everyone's feathers, but, you know, because I'm not really going to get into anything political, just, you know, but I do have a sensitivity about it, because you know, it's affecting all of us. And my job is, as a card reader, as a psychic medium, is not just do readings, but to help you guys and give you perspective and raise awareness and put some, you know, put some truth out there for you. And I can say that I didn't get the most straightest lines that I was looking through when I was looking at what was happening to all of us. And so because the Seven of Swords is in the mix, that makes me very distrustful.
Absolutely.
And I know my cards, and I've been reading for a very, very long time, and you can't fool me.
Yep.
But the question is what it is, and I can go down all those rabbit holes for you guys today, but I don't want to, because it's a lot of stuff. But I will say that it definitely made me feel very blindsided as to what's to come next. But and just caution about just some of the stuff that, you know, people have been talking about, vaccinations and things like that. Just a lot of different things that are going on that I'm hearing about. And the things that I've dreamt about didn't feel very good, because I would literally wake up with sweats and overhearing and seeing things, and just the feelings I've been getting. And a lot of the people that I read for, I have a lot of clients on the East Coast, people that are in New York and New York City. Mm-hmm. The energy there is so heavy, and I'm not trying to say, oh, hey, the West Coast is out of that portal, you know, because we got some heavy stuff over here too. But for at least some of the card readings that I've done so far, and a lot of people are from New York that I read for, the energy felt very heavy.
Yeah.
At least at the time. That was kind of like last week. I mean, of course, we're coming up on Monday here, so who knows? But I know that times are changing. Yeah. For sure. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm interested to see. Well, before I get there, do you sense a why this happened? Is there something that's yelling out to you that's saying why this is happening to us and why it's happening now?
I think it's a magnitude of different things. I think it has a lot to do with government. And the question is why? From a spiritual perspective, I think any kind of change is never welcomed. Like nobody wants change. But I think this is definitely going to be kind of like the phoenix rising from the ashes kind of vibe. You know what I mean? Like we're really changing the way we do work now. A lot of things are changing. So it is raising awareness, especially with hygiene and things like that. Everyone's getting real into all that, which we should have been doing before anyway. You know what I mean? But we're out there on such an autopilot.
Yeah.
And we're really not grounded. We're in our phones, we're returning emails, we're texting, we got all these social media platforms that we're being launched off of. You know, it's like, you know, who's got time when you're plugged in, you know, 98% of the time, and the rest is sleep, and then maybe some communication with family and loved ones, and that's it, right? And work. So, and that's not the way it should be. We need to stay more grounded. We need to connect. We need to love. We need to be more connected with nature. And they've been talking about a lot of stuff, how the sky is much more clearer. I mean, you know, over here, at least over here on the West Coast, I was on the freeway. I was like, oh my God, I could see the mountains, you know, there's no more smog. I mean, there's all the cars are off the roads. So I feel in that aspect, you know, the changes have been good, but the question is why. I could say a lot of things, but I don't know if you guys want me to go down into this subject because it's going to involve government. So
like on a spiritual level, like who we are as people, how we behave, how we interact with each other. Was this almost like a lesson that we were supposed to learn, and like, will most people learn it? Or will the doors be open for us to do things again, and people are going to run out and act like idiots and not?
Yeah, I mean, history. Yeah.
I think again, I'll go back to the feelings of the talks of being grounded and finding out what's more important. You know, like I said, the communication now is so dry. Nobody picks up the phone and calls each other anymore. They text. You know, and what we're doing to planet Earth, I think, kind of Mother Earth put us in a little bit of a timeout. Spanked our butts and said, hey, go to your room and think about what you're doing to me. Because Mother Earth will always be here. It's us that won't always be here. So, and we need her, you know, because we need to breathe air. We need food and healthy things. We need the weather to be great. And if we're messing with it, you know, the ozone layer and all this stuff with the smog and everything, we're definitely making some problems for Mother Earth. And just as easy as she can support us, is just as easy as she can shake us off, you know?
Yeah.
So this is definitely something that I think has given me a perspective, all the way down to the plastic gloves I've been using when I go shopping now. It's like, where is this going? I throw it in the trash, but where is this going? Is this going to float out into the ocean somewhere? And, you know, the smog stuff and people coming off the freeways and not driving anymore, stuff like that. And I feel not just that, but like I said, connectivity. Here's the thing. When you pass away, you cannot take your Louis Vuittons. Right. You cannot take your Michael Kors watches. You cannot, whatever the heck that you've spent all your money on, you can't take nothing with you. The only thing that you can take with you when you pass away is the love that you shared, giving and receiving love, okay, and your experiences and the lessons you've learned, and that's it. So the things that we focus on and put so much emphasis on, is that really what matters? Now that it's all been taken away from us, we can't go to the restaurants, we can't go sit down and have a full course meal. Now we're in the house actually cooking and engaging more with family, which is a beautiful thing, and sometimes it's a nightmare for some of us, okay? Let's, you know, not all of us are crazy about it, okay? But the most important thing is it's forcing us to engage in loving, healing, talking, communicating, because we're all in each other's faces under the same roof. Yeah. And then now that the ones that we cannot see because due to quarantine, guess what? Now we can't see them, whether this is the elderly or brand new babies being born. And that really hurts. You know, I haven't seen my father since he got off a plane in Germany. You know what I mean? And it's like, and my dad's like crying because, you know, I just lost my mother last year and my dad was crying on the phone and he was like, I can't take this anymore. He's still up in the house where he's shared with my mother and he's in quarantine. He's going, you know, crazy up there, and not crazy literally, but, you know, just like, I can't take it anymore, you know? But you realize how much you truly value and love people because that has been taken away from us.
Something
And
that
these are the things. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
I have been thinking about is, you know, I believe that, you know, when you're born, there is kind of maybe a set ahead date or time, you know, to when you die and how that happens. You know, it's kind of just divine planning, what have you.
Yeah.
But there are these, you know, elderly people that are dying right now that shouldn't. And in my heart, I feel as though this isn't the way that they were supposed to die. Like, it's not fair. Like, what if they were supposed to have 5 or 10 more years, even if it was in a nursing home with their families coming to visit them? Or was this always in the books, like, for these people to go that way?
No, I don't feel like the virus is real, but I don't feel like it. I feel like if there's been deaths due to the virus, that's premature. Remember what I told you, that I felt things have been manipulated.
Yeah.
Something happened to this virus. Where did it come from? Is that really what they're saying it's coming from? I don't believe it 110%. Something feels manipulated and there's a connection to the government. Is the government trying to destroy us all? I'm not saying that, but there are thugs, and there's thugs everywhere. There's gangsters everywhere, and they hide under power, power positions.
Mm-hmm.
And they're trying to clean up the government.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you have to ask yourself, just like wars. I mean, obviously you can predict tragedies, but a whole entire war, I mean, you know, that's no guarantee that you're going to be able to keep your life. And people, millions have died in the Holocaust war. You know, I don't believe that should have happened, but because people had put a certain person in power, it happened.
Mm-hmm.
And that went against, you know, that I believe in my heart that should not have happened. But the people that we place in power, we have to really think and really wonder, you know, who's behind these people? Who's the guy in the front and who's the people behind? Who's in the shadows? Who's doing this? And this is why it's so important that we vote and we really pay attention to not the media, but more go around in the shadows and find out what's going on. Because a lot of people in the spiritual community have been discussing a lot of darker things that have been resurfaced, have been surfaced, and people are talking more about it, of there's been some bad thugs in the government and they're trying to clean it up. And what's to say if people are pissed about that and they are retaliating? What would they do? What would they do? You know, who would want to hurt us like this? And so do I feel that the people, the elderly that are passing away from the virus, was that contracted in upon their, you know, before they came down and birthed from their mother? No, I'm very clear about this. I know my feelings on it, and I feel like something is manipulated here. And should this be happening? Is this part? No.
Wow.
No. Yeah. There's a lot of evil in the world. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, there's a lot of, you know, the dark ones are stomping around and he's moving through people, but that does not mean we have to be that way. It just means we are raising consciousness and we are raising awareness by talking about it. Like what we're doing now. Mm-hmm. People are talking. People are tired of being quiet. They're like, what? They're putting question marks over all kinds. Like, you're telling me how many people died in Italy? You're telling me from the coronavirus. Well, why did that change from the week before? And like, something isn't quite right. People are thinking because something doesn't feel right. And it's okay. I want you guys to think, because something is not right and this should not be happening.
Yeah.
Yeah, what scares me too is my gut is telling me that just when they lift quarantine and they say you can go outside again, it doesn't make this virus go away. It's still highly contagious. there's still not enough information on it. What does this mean down the road? I mean, right, we can stay in our homes, like you were saying, till Leo season, but even after that, for the years to come, how are we going to communicate with each other, to interact with each other? Does all of this change now?
I believe we will see the light at the end of the tunnel, and we will get through this, but we're definitely much more aware. I mean, of course, personal hygiene has amped up, like, I don't even know how much, but the thing is, there's something suspicious about the virus. And if they start busting out with vaccines, I'm not going to be in line to get a vaccine. I definitely want to do my research, because now I'm distrustful. Mm-hmm. And in terms of when we come out and after all this is said and done, of course, again, bringing awareness, and unfortunately we're already in a recession, just due to people losing their jobs and stuff. But we have to go on living. We can't stay in our houses we can't be frightened and scared. We have to take care of our bodies. We have to do what we should have been doing all along, which is, people are drinking oregano and teas and trying to, keep their immune. Exactly.
Your little
your vitamins. Yes. So your vitamin C, and just, taking care of your health, your vitamins, eating healthy, not putting a bunch of garbage down your throat, nothing like that. Because that's how, and having a good gut health. I mean, since I've been home, I've been cooking more, and I've been learning a lot about recipes and how to take better care of myself.
Yeah.
So I feel that we will come out of this okay, but I definitely feel like it's raising more awareness and raising the consciousness of the world. We're starting to become more aware of what's important. They can't keep us locked up forever. I'm sorry, because there'll be people writing. You
there already are.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. But I feel like we should get through this, but I definitely feel like things will be much different after this. I mean, it is what it is, and there's really not much we can do, but hope for the best, because government, I don't know. I really, really feel that we need to think about the people that we put in power. And this is not, I'm not dragging Trump into this. I'm not even going there with it. I'm just saying in general. Mm-hmm. That's all I'm saying. Who's behind all this, and should we trust them? And I heard that Bill Gates is talking about a vaccine or something like this. And okay, well, why Bill Gates?
Yeah, there's so many questions. And what's also cool and interesting is that there's also political figures that have emerged that, it's like, obviously, the governor of New York, Andrew Cuomo, the one in California, Gavin Newsom, like, these are people that all of a sudden we're seeing on our TVs every day, and we are like, I'm impressed. I'm like, damn, it's too late for them to run for president.
Yeah, exactly. I know what you're talking about, Sam, because I was actually very impressed with that too. I'm so glad you said something, because there's a lot of people that were really like, wow, So here's the thing. The beautiful part about tragedies is if we focus on all the sadness and things that have been taken away from us, but look at all the powerful, wonderful people that have emerged from the ashes in the midst of all this craziness. Look at our nurses and our doctors. Yeah. I have clients that do not live in New York City, but my clients are so amazingly rad that they're MPs, they're nurse practitioners, they're RNs. They're literally packing their bags and going into the belly of the beast in New York City to work, because there's such a nurse shortage over there. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it's not, I mean, they're not barking about the money. Of course, the money is great. but at the same time, they really had, the best interests of the people at heart. And so, and you see how wonderful that is. Like, when there's crises, it just really awakens people. And it's like, how may I serve? How may I help? Yeah. Just like the governor of that you were saying, governor of New York. Yeah. I mean, it's crazy. It's a beautiful thing.
It is.
It really is. It really.
Yeah.
You're totally right on that. I'm seeing a
So
lot of that.
let's get this guy on the bill, man. Let's get.
Yes,
Like,
it's gonna happen. I feel like it's definitely gonna happen.
Yeah, I'm like, if we just all write him in November.
Yeah, exactly.
That would be amazing.
I mean, that would actually be one of the craziest things that has ever happened in my
After everything we just saw happen on the main stage, and then that would be incredible.
I mean, these are unprecedented times. I don't know. I have no idea. But, you know, as far as our economy, April, like, are there certain businesses, lines of business, you know, just professions that you see either skyrocketing in a positive way or dying? Like, are we going, you know, are there certain people that a certain profession that's just not going to exist anymore, you know?
That's a good question. I'm worried about our small business owners, you know. I'm worried about our people in the beauty industry, because I mean, but everyone needs their hair and their nails done. I feel like their setbacks are temporary, because as soon as we come out of quarantine, we're going to be all messed up from hair to, I mean, look, I don't even have my nails. I mean, yeah, it's like, I can't right now. And you know, people need their hair extensions, their weaves, or whatever.
Like dreadlocks right now under here. Does it look good? What it does not look good underneath this thing. It's very scary.
I was even thinking too yesterday, I was like, I think I need a pedicure. Like, you know, when you get the callus remover, you know, it's like, I just need to feel soft and beautified again. But I know I have to wait. I know. I mean, there's always, wherever there's a need, like I said, you know, there is going to be a space filled for that. Everyone needs their hair done, but I know that since money is going to be a little more scarce, I feel like there's going to be a kind of a pause. I feel like they're hitting a pause button in the beauty industry. Okay. That's due to the delays and like makeup artists, hairstylists, all that. But I do believe things will pick up, because, you know, even people like my clients, you know, sometimes they'll, you know, purchase a reading and they'll put money aside for reading just because they want to make sure from month to month everything's cool, or they got issues going on. Even if they don't have a lot of money at the time, they'll put money aside and save for that reading. No different than if you really want to get your nails done, you're going to find the money to get it, right? Mm-hmm. So people will find a way. I am worried about small businesses. So like little shops, those little shopping malls, I'm concerned about that. All the eateries are going to slow down a bit, because people are kind of worried about who's preparing the food and, you know, things like that. So I feel like we're going to slow down a bit, but I do feel like things will pick up probably in Scorpio season for a lot of us.
Okay.
But it means all the way from travel, it means everything's just going to slow and then it'll pick up again. Because I mean, we're all going to be just nuts coming out. Like we need our things. We need our things. So I can't say, I feel like the world of teachers is going to change. Education for me was one of the biggest factors I can see popping up in a lot of readings for like all my clients that are teachers. So I feel like those platforms are going to be much more advanced in terms of how they do the outreach in being seen and heard in the forms of teaching. I feel like that's going to be different. I don't know why I'm getting that feeling, but I feel like the way they're running education in schools is going to be a little different. Mm-hmm. That's something I can guarantee. It's already happening now. So, you know, education is going to be different. And so that kind of makes me wonder how our teachers are going to advance their skill set in terms of like, okay, how, you know, maybe they might teach various different locations on Zoom. So one classroom, right. you understand, all from their living room, you know what I mean? So I feel like that's going to change. Of course, construction I've been seeing has been going on. I'm down here in Southern California. I'm right off the 405 and they're still banging away over there.
Wow.
So I feel like that's going to be about the same, because everybody needs built. Home Depots are all open still. So you know what, to answer to your question, Sam, is I feel like there's going to be a temporary pause and delay, but I feel like things will pick up with the economy, hopefully in November. I do see a lot of political stuff coming up in November. I get this feeling that things are going to get a little weird in November. That's Scorpio season feels like, because Scorpio season is the death card in traditional tarot.
I don't like
it. Really?
Literally. So it means like what is dying is, you know, things are dying off. What is no longer working for us as a community, as the people in
That's so
in the
interesting.
world, right? So it's interesting with the voting and all this stuff's going on around that time, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, fine. Well, guess what? A lot of changes with government coming up in November.
And
just due to this whole thing that's
I
impacted our
hope so.
country.
I'm gonna throw this very
But
quick-
here's the thing, that's my point, you guys. You have to be, with this heavy blow and that feeling that you were talking about in the very first part of our conversation here. It's like what you're feeling is you're feeling the energies of the people. People are scared.
Mm-hmm.
But okay, well, look around who's in power. Do your research. Think. Look up videos. Don't be brainwashed by just the what's in your face on TV. Research.
Yep.
And come up with your own assessment. I mean, I've come up with mine, and I've kind of barked a few things. I'm trying not to offend people on my Instagram, okay? Because I don't like getting political, because I know that's one thing. My grandfather, he's been dead for a long time. He's like, don't talk about anything political or religious. And I'm like,
Well,
I'm like, what do you mean? I got all this stuff I want to say, but it doesn't mean that I'm right. But I definitely know what I feel. And I've always been on the money about my feelings. And what I mean by what I feel is my intuition.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't fool me.
Yeah.
I've always been on the money. But it's a question of, what is it? I think it's a bunch of little tiny different things that we need to pay attention to, from our economy, our money. Who wants to destroy? Who would like to see the United States economy go down? Think about that one. Number 2. Okay. Who would want to hurt us like this? Did this virus really come from what they're saying, like an animal or something like that? Did it really? That's another thing you got to think about. Number 3. Okay. What do you mean that this virus came from this certain place in this certain country? How did it get here? Yeah. And why do the death tolls keep changing every time I look on my screen? So it could have something to do with, maybe they don't have enough, they can't do enough swabs to test everybody. Okay, yeah. I get that. I know people have told me that, well, April, and I'm like, well, wait a second here, really? But I have a right to question things, and so does the rest of the world. And the most important thing is to think. Don't just look at what's on your screen in your face. You actually have to go on YouTube, listen to people, hear people out, go on people's Instagrams, listen to them. There's people that are talking, and I know there's a lot of conspiracy theorists, and they have some good points. I'm not going to lie, but are they right? It's us we need to kind of discern and decide how we feel, I've never really been one to push my opinions on people, but I've always been one to push people to think.
Yeah.
Because it's all about free will, because it's no different than my readings. When I read for somebody, and if there's somebody has, oh, April, I don't know if I want to date this guy, but I really like him, but he's got this heroin habit. And I'm like, okay, but I love him. And I'm like, all right. So I do the reading. I'm just throwing a hypothetical out. Obviously that's not a great thing, right?
Big red flag.
Who am I to get in her way of saying anything? I always tell my clients, look, at the end of the day, you decide, but you're coming to me for a perspective, and I'm here to give you the truth. This is what I see if you take this road, and this is what I see if you don't. So the beautiful part about life for every single person is free will. Yeah. You choose. You can choose to do something, or you can choose not to do something. You can choose whatever you want. And, people make choices every day, and it's just, free will is a beautiful thing, but you have to choose right, and you have to choose what's true and authentic to how you feel. But I certainly am not going to stand back and have the media tell me certain things. I'm like, when I know what I've read in my cards, and I know what I've seen in just doing spiritual readings, and I know what I've seen in my dreams, and I'm like, no, there's just something weird here. Also, a big thing too is we need to take care of our children.
Yeah.
There's a lot of children being taken, you guys, and a lot of people are not really taking into account of that as well. Where are children going? They're stealing kids, and there's a lot of pedophilia and really terrible things that are going on out there. And you have to wonder, well, where are all they going? Where are all these kids going?
Yeah.
And it's getting bigger and bigger, and they're starting to kind of unravel that. And that's something that we have to look into, people in power.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well, and
So that's a big discussion. That's a whole nother discussion, but that's something I want you guys to think about, because it's like, you know, people in the spiritual community all know this.
Mm-hmm. Well,
and it's really sad. Yeah. Sorry.
No, and Sari's like, let's not, she's like, I am a like conspiracy theorist a little bit, and like I definitely, and Sari's like very grounding to me, and she's like, let's try to, but it just, you mentioned it, so I just want to ask, as far as the children thing and all that, like, do you see that having anything to do with what is going on? Because I mean, if you just look on the internet, it's not that we're creating these things.
I know that Chris Cornell and Chester Bennington did not commit suicide, and they were big advocates for protecting the children.
Mm-hmm.
I believe they were murdered. And I also feel that they were trying to stop some things that were going on, and the entertainment business is very interconnected with the government.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to lie to you. I mean, I did a reading on Chester Bennington on a live one time, and what I thought was a suicide, because that's what I believed it to be at the time. I've always wondered, and I went into a reading, and no, he did not commit suicide. There was some other things in there that I feel like were going on. But I feel that this is going on, and I feel that people are disappearing, and people are, strangely dying of flu-like symptoms and stuff. Does it have anything to do with the coronavirus? I feel that they have tried to clean up the government with some of these people in power that are getting busted, doing things they shouldn't be doing. I know that Jeffrey Epstein, I know that he was supporting people in power for their vices. And you guys can think about whatever you want to think about in that spectrum, but they're trafficking people all over the world. So, and I feel like because they've removed people in power, that makes them very upset. So what would they do to retaliate against us? Or, to show, hey, all right, you want to play? Well, I'm a part of this gang or this cult or whatever the hell. I know people talk about the Illuminati and all that stuff, whatever. But, you have to ask yourself, what could they manipulate, or what could they do to try to create problems? I'm not saying this is what they're doing, but it has crossed my mind.
Yeah. And, for those listening and watching, we are not giving you guys any facts that are, this is just kind of like our feelings, our opinions, our intuition. But one of the reasons I just wanted to bring it up is because I think it's so important that we need to kind of, if you are comfortable, to open your mind and really start seeing things and thinking things that maybe you didn't before, because I feel like one day, a long time from now, we'll look back on this and think, why didn't we put 2 and 2 together? Why didn't we put 3 and 3 together, knowing what we know now? And so it's definitely an interesting time to just, not accuse anybody, not do anything, but open up your mind, read the news, read different kinds of articles, watch different kinds of videos, and just make your own decision on it.
Discernment is huge, Sam. I always tell my clients, use discernment. It means you're not judging. Just, someone could tell me anything they want to tell me, and I said, great, you're entitled to your opinion and I'm entitled to mine, and we don't have to agree. Mm-hmm. It doesn't mean I dislike the person, but I'm certainly entitled to my perspective. And just like for everybody that's listening, you don't have to agree with what we're saying. I just want to raise the consciousness. I want you guys to be more aware, and I would like you to think about things, and instead of what's being fed through the media, because we have to look what's in the shadows. And again, I brought up November. November is actually Scorpio season. Well, the month of November is also, the end of November would actually be Sag season too. But November is Scorpio season, and that is the death card. So I feel like we're going to see a lot of changes in the world and a lot of things going on. I feel like that's going to be a really hard month for us. But again, it's all about what is no longer serving us and what's dying away. But I would like people to really think about who's in power and who's working for us. Are they good? Do they have the best intentions? Do your research. Go on YouTube. Look into things. I have a lot of spiritual advisors. They're sending me YouTube things about certain people who work in the industry and work in government, CIA people, and what they're saying. And it's like, whoa, I've been feeling this, but I didn't, holy smokes. And then you just put the pieces together, you know, the way you want to. And you can decide how you feel about it. But the most important part is pay attention. Pay attention. We're not paying attention. And I feel like with this time where we're in quarantine is a great time to go, I wonder, you know, what is really going on here? Let's think about this. And a lot of people are doing their homework. A lot of people are. So, and that's good. I want them to. And I'm proud of all who are listening, who are doing like you. You're like, well, you know, I'm not really a conspiracy theorist, but I kind of am. You know what I mean? Like how you were saying, but I'm glad, Sam. I'm glad, because you should be. You should be thinking. All of us should be thinking, because this should not be happening.
Yeah. Sari, do you have any questions? Any more questions?
I want to know card wise, again, like looking into the future, is there a particular card that you're pulling now that you're seeing a lot as far as what you're getting from the future?
The Leo card, which is the Sun card. Here, I'll show you. Give me 1 second. I gotta dig for it. So this is the most beautiful card to me in traditional tarot. Oh God, they're really making me look for this card, aren't they? Hold on, guys. Oh, there it is. Here we go. The Sun. This card has been showing up non-stop. So when I ask about, and I know that we got in this discussion earlier too, you know, what should we expect? I mean, once we come out of quarantine, is it going to be worse? Like what's going on with the economy? I feel like there's going to be a light at the end of the tunnel. To me, the Sun card is talking about a positive outcome. I think what we're going to do is we're going to transmute a lot of the negative energy and turn it into something positive. Mm-hmm. And this card has been showing up a lot. Now, the other one that's been showing up a lot is, give me 1 second. We are in Aries season, except for tomorrow. Tomorrow is, ta-da, Taurus season.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah. Here, I'll show you really quick. Let's see. Where did it go? Ugh, I'm on the spot too, and that's the hard part. Yeah, this is a big deck, so
when you're looking for something, right? There's that thing when you're
looking for something,
you can never find it, and then as soon as you don't need it.
And the Emperor card. This is a government card. To me, this is like papers, government, police, people in power and control, politicians, etc., etc., etc. That card's been coming up a lot because to me, that's like a government card. And the Seven of Swords. So there's something just not quite right when the Seven of Swords shows up. So I can't say it's just one card, but what the beautiful part is in the end, I feel like we're going to get through this and we're going to be okay. That's the Sun card. Sun card is actually one of the best cards in the deck. Wow. It's like the happy ending with the rainbow, you know, like woohoo, you know. The sun is shining, the birds are chirping. But the Emperor card and the Seven of Swords comes up every time. So that just tells me that there's more going on than I think we truly know. And so that is super important to understand. And that's what my spirits have been bringing up a lot is, much more going on than meets the eye, and that we need to be more aware. So, but I think as people as a whole with our lives, yes, there's going to be some changes. Everything's going to feel a little bit different, but I think we will get reacclimated. I mean, we're people. We're very resilient creatures. And that's what the sun card talks about, that in the end, it's also Leo season, by the way.
Yeah.
Leo season, sun card is Leo. I think in the end, we're all going to be okay. So it's kind of like a funny paradox. Like it gets rough, but then at the same time it gets great. And then there might be a little weirdness coming up in November with government stuff. So, but I think all in all, we'll get through it. And like I said, I think it's not something it's not the end of the world. We're not going to be extinct, but we definitely need to pay attention.
And on like a little more of a selfish but interesting note, both for Sari and myself, who are entertainment news journalists, a huge part of our job is going to red carpets and going to events. I was wondering if you could maybe pull some cards to see like, what are people that have careers like ours? Like, what is that going to look like? Are these things going to happen? Or are we going to have to wait till 2021?
Job outcomes. Okay. In the entertainment business, right?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure dating is going to be off the table for the next couple of years.
Well, I've been to 2 speed dating events on the internet in the past.
Speed dating on the internet. That's the life we're living now, is speed dating on the internet.
No, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Very interesting time. And the unknown is very scary for me. I don't like change, but this is the world we're living in. So.
Yeah, the adaptation to the world of Zoom interviews. Yeah. It's a different world.
So one of the things that they're really getting into is subjects of travel, because many people in the entertainment business, they travel. Mm-hmm. So they're bringing up the Six of Swords. The Six of Swords to me, they're really referencing travel, and they are referencing the Two of Swords, which means delays. So I feel like a lot of things are on hold, but I feel like things will be speeding up. Probably coming up here towards the summer, and I feel like opportunities and contracts will extend. I feel like things are going to just be a little bit different because you have to travel in the entertainment business.
A lot of people.
So they're really shining the light on this. So if anything, I see delays, and I feel the delays in terms of travel. So I feel like there might be some stuff that'll be postponed. Mm-hmm. But again, once I look more further at the cards, Gemini season to Leo season. Yeah. The Lover's card is Gemini. Sun card is Leo. Remember, I've been telling you, I've been seeing nothing but Leo.
Yeah.
Sun card, okay? They're talking about budgets and money as well. So I feel like that's going to shift and change. So I feel like they're going to get a little tighter with some money. And I feel like there's going to be delays with travel, which could mean that you'll have to postpone some things. So if you have a big name person that lives somewhere else, they need to come on the red carpet here in LA. Obviously, that's going to be a little bit of a problem. But I believe people are still traveling right now, right?
A little bit. I
don't know.
It's different states are different. I know I have a friend that's from Texas originally, and she wanted to go home, but basically there's state troopers waiting for them there, and they will follow up to make sure that they're self-quarantined for 2 weeks. So it's very difficult. Yeah.
So like I said, Two of Swords is delays. Gemini season between the sun, Gemini season to Leo season. So these are 2 seasons, and it's like a pendulum swinging. So it feels very wobbly in there, but I feel like Leo season being kind of the best time for us, which is the summer, which is the end of July leading into August. And I do see some tightening up with money, and I see some, again, delays on travel. Six of Swords is talking about travel. But it doesn't mean you're exempt or, you know, you're not going to be able to get contracts and stuff like that. But I feel like there will be some delays. I think things should be picking up towards, I don't know when the schedules events are in LA, forgive me, you know, the big ones.
Yeah.
They're more in the fall, right?
Yeah. There's the Emmys in the fall for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And then
you guys should be fine. You guys should be fine. But right now I just feel a lot of like delays. I know that, who's that talk show host? I know that they're interviewing people from Zoom now, I think.
That's what everybody's been doing, our Zoom interviews. So that's what I'm wondering. And then when you get back on the carpet, you know, you're so close to people. It's like your mic to their face, your mic to their face. People are taking pictures, they're hugging, they're shaking hands. You're side by side. I mean, they're talking like social distancing.
And
it's going to be a thing for the next 2 years.
Like me and you, we'll be next to each other on a carpet for 2 different carpets, and we are touching every part of our body to each other. Like we are all crammed in like sardines.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen anymore. I feel like they're definitely going to create a system where, just like they're doing in the grocery markets now, they got little tags on the where you're supposed to stand. And then so if people are coming on the red carpet, maybe they might put an X on the rug there for that's as far as you can go, and maybe keep the crowds back a little bit more. I mean, I don't know, but I definitely know that they're going to be more into controlling that.
Yep.
Yeah.
So like I said, delays. And of course, if you notice, the Two of Swords is also talking about kind of like everything at a standstill. So because I think they need to kind of make some moves and kind of recalculate some things of what they want to do. A lot of it has something to do with money as well. So do these people get paid to come to these red carpet events?
They don't. We do.
They just show.
We do to do the job as correspondents, but they are usually there doing press.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because there's like a lot of Four of Pentacles or Four of Earth is talking about like power and control. So they want to control something here, and they're trying to create a system with balance. So this is also the Sag card, but that's Temperance and traditional tarot. So it's like they're trying to balance some things out. I can't say this is going to be easy, but like I said, I feel like things are going to definitely we're going to feel a big shift of energy in Scorpio season. The fall, things look better, but at best, where I kind of see like, oh, you know, like the clouds being, you know, opened up and the white light shines through, is the Leo season.
Wow.
So my answer to you is everything should be okay, but it's not going to be exactly the way it used to be. And the outcome looks positive, but there's going to be more control, and there's going to be some things about budget and money, and then there's going to be issues with travel.
Yeah. And, you know, one of the last things we want to make sure we ask you and talk about is ways that we can protect ourselves and help ourselves right now, whether that's grounding, protecting ourselves and our family through crystals, candles, prayer. Sure. What can you tell us about that?
So, I don't know if you guys know, but Palo Santo, this is an example of what it looks like if you can kind of see. This is a Palo Santo stick here. And you can light this, and I'll kind of show you. It takes about maybe 10 seconds to light it, and it catches. So you kind of let the flame go a little bit before you blow it out. There's the smoke. So you can actually clear and cleanse your personal sacred space, but at the same time, it actually removes bacteria and weird funky stuff in the air as well. So if you got a tolerance for this, it actually smells divine. It's lovely. It's one of my personal favorites. I will say the shamans and exorcisms, when they're trying to do like a depossession of a spirit on somebody, blue sage is very powerful. This is blue sage and lavender, but blue sage is perfect for burning and kind of getting rid of lower, darker vibrational energies. In terms of crystals, I don't think I have all my crystals in front of me, but I will say smoky quartz is great in deterring negative energy. You can put those in your pockets. Tourmaline, like dark tourmaline, is great to control and help like kind of deter any negative emotions just due to fear factors, just with everything going on. Obsidian Amethyst is great for calming, helps with sleep, anything to do with anxiety. I have nothing but amethyst because I'm naturally a nervous person anyway. So amethyst is all over my house. What else? Let me see here. Another one to think about is Yerba Santa, and I don't have it in front of me, but this is a great thing. It's called Yerba Santa, and it's good for uplifting negative energy. You can Google that if you want. Yerba Santa. I also am a big fan of other ways to clean yourself, even with liquids. So this is Florida water. You can get this at your local Walgreens or CVS.
And Amazon, after I met you for the first time, I bought some. I literally have it right here. I love it.
It's great. It's like fabulous. Like most card readers, most of them use it. I'm also a big fan of crushed eggshell powder. Where did it go? Oh, April, what did you do with it? Well, anyway, it's called, in Spanish, they call it cascarilla. But in English, it's literally like crushed eggshell powder. And I actually write symbols on my mats before I shuffle my cards for protection. I actually put it in my hands to clear and purify the cards, so I can, because I'm deeply committed to accuracy, or, you know, I'm aiming for that. So I definitely want to clear the energies because I can take on other spirits from other readers, and I just want to make sure I keep everything separate. And I mean, that's pretty much it. But the most important thing that I would like to tell you guys is your ancestors. I'm a big person, a big advocate on connecting with your spirits and your ancestors and your guides. If you don't know them, that's okay, but it's a great way to start and have like a little table where you put a candle out, some flowers, leave a cup of coffee out for them, like an offering almost, and connect with them. Have pictures of your deceased relatives, because they truly are your power in a way. I mean, yes, we have ascended masters, we have God, we have, you know, whatever you like to plug into. It doesn't matter to me as long as you're plugging into some kind of source, some kind of energy. But you know, your spirits, your ancestors you literally stand upon the ancestors of the people of the past. Who you are is because of them. And they really, really do watch over you, and they protect you, and they always show up in all my readings, and there's no way to get around it. I'm a natural medium, so it's like, they're like, oh, we just want to say hi. And then sometimes my clients are like, I didn't know that person. I was in a diaper when I was 2, and you got to be kidding me, but what are you talking about? And I'm like, no, but they know you. They know you. And so you guys got to connect, burn some incense, you know, put a little beer out for them, or a glass of alcohol even. But if you want protection and you want to get rid of the fear, you got to pull on the power of your ancestors as well. It's not just the angels. It's not just ascended masters. It's not source 110%. It is, that's most important part. But don't forget about them, because they're down here on earth helping us out too. They're behind the scenes making sure we're good.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Yeah. Any final questions, Sari?
Sure.
For me, no, I think we pretty much covered it. I think we got I want everybody to know where to find you.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So I'm on, most of my following is on Instagram. So you can find me at Astre Astoundance. It's ASTREASTOUNDANCE at Instagram. So Austria Astoundance Instagram. Austria Astoundance case, for those of you who are like, what are you talking about? That's the weirdest name ever. It is different, but it was the name I channeled from my spirits. So I'm not about to have that argument, because they're the reason why I'm in business. So, but it's Austria and then space Astoundance. So of course on Instagram, you can't have spaces. So it's Austria Astoundance. So yeah. And then I do 30-minute readings. I do 60-minute readings. And my specialty is the dead, working with the dead spirits, mediumship, and tarot. So, and giving the truth.
Yes.
So,
from someone personally that has known April and experienced her, like, she's one of my favorite mediums that I've worked with. So, if you guys,
thank you, Sam.
And she also, like, I love the way you curate your Instagram. And now you have your new website too. It's very like interactive. Like you said, you have your Oracle taster cards, which is so fun. And, you do it when you can, but, you basically intuitively choose one of 3 cards that April puts on her Instagram stories, and then she breaks it down for you.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's really
It's
awesome.
kind of fun because, again, I'm like a big advocate on you guys also. We're all psychic. You just have to, flex a little bit with those intuitive muscles.
Yep.
And you kind of feel that spike of energy when you're looking at a set of cards. So I'm trying to get you guys to use your own intuition versus you kind of always depending on me. And that truly, I mean, honestly, your intuition will serve you well. So that's my way of getting you guys to do the work too. It kind of gets you, and it's fun to kind of see what you pick. You don't have to pick just one, but you can pick more than one if you feel divinely led to do so. And it's a lot of fun. It really is a lot of fun. And that's how I kind of got, how people got interested in me a little bit, because I've been doing these Oracle card tasters, and people think they're fun, and they're meant to be wonderful and funny, and at the same time, giving you that little extra boost for the week in terms of guidance. So yeah, so always a pleasure.
So much.
Yeah.
And Sari, I love you so much. I can't wait to hug you in person.
Thank you, Sam. I know. It's always a pleasure. I was so excited before this. I thought, oh, April, don't get too controversial now. But it's like, because me, I'm always like writing a little bit of a fine line there. But I'm the truth teller.
You're the truth teller, as it should be. That's what we need in the world.
Myself, you guys, and it's very hard to do so when it comes to the truth, but the most important thing is I felt that I wanted to address today is bringing awareness and getting you guys to understand that we really are raising the consciousness of people. We're really thinking, and I'm so proud of all my clients and people that I work with on a daily basis, and talking to Sam and exchanging chats here and there about what do you think's going on, and but that's we're thriving in the midst of all this hardship. We are actually thriving. This is a beautiful thing that's happening. And I look at this as a big gift for all of us to change our perspective, to kind of open our eyes to things versus focusing on all the fear of what we don't have, what's been taken away from us. We need to focus on why is this happening? But at the same time, how can I make the best of this? How can I grow from this? Right.
Yeah. I think a lot of people are experiencing inner battles. I was saying this before, is that I feel like a lot of people are relearning lessons. Just the people that I'm talking to, their hardest lessons, whether it was a year ago or 10 years ago, seem to be almost testing them at this point. Like, oh, you thought you got over me? Try it now.
Yeah.
Did you really pass this test the first time? Are you sure? And I'm seeing a lot of that happening, and I'm definitely noticing phases of things and cycles throughout this. And but yeah, I mean, yeah, I think in the end, like you said, it's a gift. Right now, we are being gifted with time. That's what we have.
Change time, but change is a gift. And I always tell clients, look, change is not always welcomed. It's not. But you have to make the best of it in the midst of it. We all are going through it together. There are husbands and wives that are spending more time together at home, and they're driving each other crazy, and their relationships are being tested due to the change. But I'm sure they're also finding ways that they've, focusing on subjects of maybe areas within themselves they didn't heal because they're arguing or they're fighting. And I've actually seen love connections happen in the midst of quarantine, believe it or not.
Really?
I swear to God. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I was getting the opposite, because I was going, how are you ever supposed to date? Do you remember the movie Uncle Buck? Do you remember that movie, right? And there's that one scene where she's kissing the guy and Macaulay Culkin, and they're in the back, and he says, well, that's a dumb thing to do. Doesn't she know that it's flu season? And that's how I'm going to feel dating now.
But you know what? People are starting to be, they're so knee and deep in the trenches of like these social media platforms, that people are connecting and really getting into some wonderful subjects and talking. And by this, outlet of communication, they're discovering people. They're like, oh, and then next thing you know, there's a love connection. And so I've actually had 2 clients that have contacted me that have fell in love in the midst of all this craziness. Yes.
Wow. That's beautiful. Find love in the time of quarantine.
So for those of you that are out there and you're looking for love, let this bring you hope, okay? Don't just like focus on, oh, I'm never going to get out and I'll never meet him. You would be surprised that, the most, unfathomable situations people find the loves of their lives. I mean, I've even watched a beautiful thing on, I think it was like TLC. I forget what station it was, where these two people, they fell in love during the Holocaust.
Oh, wow.
And they've been married all this time. Like, beautiful stories, like in the midst of a crisis, you never know what's going to happen. I mean, it's all part of a divine plan. So that's all about thinking. I mean, we can really shapeshift our future if sometimes we get in our own way due to thinking and choice, right? You have to choose wisely and you have to think positively. The minute you throw that energy out there, like, how am I going to find anybody in court? What are you talking about? There's already people getting engaged. Like, I just couldn't even believe it. And they're like, April, can you believe it? In the middle of this pandemic, I meet the love of my life, because people are at home right now. They have extra time. Mm-hmm. And again, remember we talked about earlier, people are connecting more.
Yeah.
We were so on autopilot, you guys. And isn't that interesting how the universe finds a way to smack us aside the face and go, pew, wake up. You know what I mean? Exactly.
Yeah, well, I'm certainly trying my hardest, even though it's kind of a comedy at this point. I want to find the love of my life in quarantine. I want it to be a romantic comedy, and I want to write the movie one day. And all I meet are like weirdos, but it's totally fine. But anyways, again, April, thank you so much from the bottom of our hearts.
You're so welcome.
Thank you so
Where
much.
can everyone find you, Sari?
What's that? Sorry, you cut out a little bit.
For Sari, where can everyone find you?
For me, I'm over at The Savvy Scribbler. I'm on Instagram. I make all my handles different. TheSavvyScribbler. The Savvy Scribbler.
For us, for the show, Spiritual Spiral, you can find us on Instagram at Spiritual Spiral Show. And the music that we are going to be using kind of in and out for all of this, from Alexander May. You met him last week. Yeah. His group, the music is Libra May, and we're hoping to interject that throughout these episodes when I do the editing. And you guys can find me, Sam Davidson, at SamD43 on Instagram and Twitter. And we'll see you next time. Thank you, everybody.